Why do you think that some neighborhoods in New York are segregated? The answer is redlining. Redlining is when people in neighborhoods used to be separated on a map by color. The worst neighborhood to live in was the one shaded in red, which was rated to D on a map, meaning it was hazardous because they believed that the color of your skin determined where you live. This was a bad neighborhood for them to live in because the landlords felt that people of color should not live in their buildings, so they tried very hard to get them to leave by making the living conditions substandard and dangerous. Redlining caused people of color in the 1930s to 1960s to suffer because of the lack of respect society gave them. In the past, people of color were not given the same resources as white people. For about 20 years, the FHA, the Federal Housing Administration, was only giving 2% of their loans to homebuyers who were people of color, and this was not a coincidence. Because of redlining, people of color were not able to get loans to purchase homes in better neighborhoods. During this time, when new buildings were being made in high-class areas, the FHA made it mandatory that none of the apartments or houses would be sold to people of color. Because of this, it would make it almost impossible for people of color to move out of the communities that were not so safe and get into better, safer ones, all because they were a certain race. Younger family in a play, A Raisin in the Sun, are shown to be greatly affected by redlining. During the first act, Mama mentions that when looking for houses, she found that the cheapest ones were in white neighborhoods and the houses that were available in black neighborhoods were twice as much to buy. This is an example of redlining in this time period, as redlining neighborhoods became more dangerous and forced those who could afford it, commonly white people, to flee to the suburbs and leave the increasingly more dangerous cities. This was taken advantage of by the landlords who raised the rent trying to force the black inhabitants out. Redlining didn't stop there. It still affects people today. Recently, researchers found that 15 to 30% of the gaps in homeownership and segregation are because of the maps between the areas that were formerly rated D and C. This was all the way through the 1950 to 2010. This shows that even though redlining became illegal in 1968, it still affected people's ability to own homes and have integrated communities 42 years later, and still now. This also greatly impacted what today is like for families that lived in redline areas at one point. The easiest way to become wealthier is to buy and sell homes, but since they were in redlined areas, they were restricted for getting a loan for a house. Over time, they stayed in the same place while the white people got richer. As a result, in 2017, it was reported that families of people of color had $5.04 for every $100 a wealthy white family holds. This demonstrates how redlining was a huge cause of today's connection between race and wealth. Discrimination based on race is still a problem today. You should be aware of discrimination because even though redlining became illegal in 1968, it is only a minor step forward to prevent racial discrimination as a whole.